What's up, everybody? This is A7X Ben, and this is how to build a giant turtle, a custom sea creature for Pirate CSG. So this one is Minogame from Pirate Seas of Japan, and all credit goes to Algoth Ibarra of the Discord server for the original model. So I tweaked it a little bit to get an STL 3D printing file that worked better with my Bamboo Labs A1 3D printer, and then later on, sometime in 2024, in the last quarter or so of the year, I converted it to an SVG and then also made like a card layout to fit all the shapes onto 3 different cards here. And now we have giant turtles in Pirate CSG. So these are pretty unique game pieces. I'll include a link to his custom set as well, where some of the original ones came from. And the keyword gets pretty involved and they get kind of crazy. So anyway, but this is the how to build video. So I'll start getting into punching the pieces. This is actually the first laser cut printed styrene giant turtle. So I tested, as usual, I always test outlines on blank white styrene to get the outlines pretty much perfect before cutting like a printed copy like this. But there is variance because not only is the styrene from the printing company sometimes differ a little bit. Usually it's a little thicker in my experience than the blank white styrene that I've sourced, but it's also can be slightly different material properties, or it's just a different batch of styrene from very likely a different manufacturer. So your mileage may vary based on that, the styrene, and also based on the laser cutter itself and the settings used. So all right, so I'm just punching out the little excess pieces that are stuck in the slots here from the big shell. So the shell is kind of the centerpiece, obviously. So this is all original artwork that I designed in Inkscape, and by the time this video is out, or probably shortly afterwards, you'll probably be able to find a giant turtle artwork template that I've shared for free that you can use to make your own giant turtle artwork. So hopefully that'll be useful for some folks down the line. Inkscape is a free to use SVG scalable vector graphics, vector graphic design software. I switched from Illustrator because I didn't want to have a paywall from Adobe in the way of people using my artwork templates, and also I didn't want to keep paying the monthly subscription. So Inkscape is free and open source, so it works pretty similarly to Illustrator. Illustrator is probably a little better. It doesn't lag as much with larger file sizes, and it's a little bit prettier interface to navigate. But Inkscape has a ton of features and is very comparable in terms of being a good computer program. So, and Inkscape is great for making laser cut outlines, the SVG outlines, and also even going from SVG to STL, which you can do in Tinkercad. And that's partly how I designed some of the other ship types for Seas of Japan, such as the Red Seal ship and also the Atakebune. So, all right, almost done popping out the pieces and then getting the little nubs and excess styrene out of there. That's one thing to keep in mind with any laser cut stuff you might see from me or products you might buy, is just to be patient building stuff. It is a very different production method than die cutting or die punching. So just got to make sure to be patient and get your stuff ready to be built. So we're ready to go here. So usually the way I do these, I start from the bottom up with the main spine piece here. So this middle slot goes through the middle slot on the shell. So almost nice and tight, popped right in. And then usually what I do second, this is where it gets kind of interesting. So basically you want to keep the collector's number on the inside generally unless you prefer it on the outside, but that's not really supposed to show when you see the turtle from the side. So I'd keep that on the inside. And then these hook in from the back, basically. I usually go from the back and then up to the front from there, so that when you have it there, these two, they kind of slide into the slots, but they're also open slots. They're not, surrounded closed slots like the ones for the fort. So they are a little bit trickier to get perfect. And this was where there was a lot of 3D printing prototyping that went into this. So then you do the other side as well. And then usually I would have the collector's number on the inside, so I'd probably put it towards the front on this back one. So there's two support pieces that go underneath, and one of them is a little bit taller, so that's going to be the one towards the head. That's going to be towards the front of the turtle. So we're going to pop this back one in first. So this is one of the hardest parts of the design too, because it's sometimes the slots don't want to line up. So let me just kind of look at that for a second. Oh, actually, this still had a little styrene in it, so let me pop that out. Okay. And then, yeah, so this is where the design gets kind of intense. You got to have those all lined up, obviously, but it should be good now. Now that I popped out the excess material. Sometimes you have to force it a little bit. That's where it's useful to actually pop the turtle on its back and just kind of push on the support. Like I said, this is the very first printed styrene copy that I've built. So I might make some edits based on this build. Oh, actually, I still have excess in this slot too, surprisingly. So, and that's another thing. I might change the nub locations to make them easier to pop out of the cards and hopefully have less excess styrene in the pieces. So there we go. That's the kind of noise you want to hear. All right, so that popped in nicely finally. Then here, I'll put the collector's number on the inside so you can't see it. Boom, there we go. So that worked. All right, now it's looking pretty good. So usually there's a little bit of a gap between the edges of these ridges and then the shell, but this is almost tight all around here. One way you can kind of improve it is to pop it on its back, and then you might want to do it on the edge of the table so the head doesn't get compromised at all. But you can pop it, I know you can't see it, but you can pop it to the edge of the table and then push down from there, like basically from the bottom, to make sure everything's flush. And those were the hardest parts. So now we've just got all the flippers. So I'm going to keep the collector's numbers face down, and then these should pop in. So the big ones go at the front. It's pretty obvious, and then the smaller ones go at the back. So, all right, this one's a little bit iffy. It's actually pretty good. The right one's a tiny bit loose, but all right. And then got the back too as well. There's one, and there's two. All right, there we go. So laser cut Minogame, custom giant turtle from Pirates Seas of Japan. Ready for a fort to be built on it. Ready to assist the Japanese in their conquest of the pirates' world. Thanks for watching.